Hello, YouTube. This is Jetfighter, and joined with me, I've got Tempo Jesus here, and we're going to show you, or I guess do a dual commentary on my most recent Azurik Rise of Parathia speedrun.
Yep. This is the first Azurik Rise of World Parathia speedrun to break the 2 hour mark, which is quite an incredible accomplishment in and of itself in the 80% category. And it's also the first one that I think in any category that anyone has ever attempted on an emulator. And we'll discuss some of the ins and outs of that as the run goes on.
That might be true. I'm actually not sure what Dendris submitted his cheat percent run on, but I think
Yeah,
it
I
is
was gonna
hardware.
say that Dendris's any percent or cheap percent run would be the only other one that might have been on an emulator, but I don't remember which one he did.
Cool. Anyway, so this is Azurik Rise of Parathia. It's a open world adventure game on the original Xbox. It was kind of a launch title. I think it released a week or maybe a month after the Xbox's release. At the time, it didn't receive very good reviews, but I think that that's a big oversight upon the reviewers. This game's fantastic,
Yep.
and we'll be glad to show you why. Well, anyway, so right here, I've got pulled up the splits from the last world record, the 2:04 time that I did. There's been quite a bit of changes, but I figured it would be good to show a comparison relative to the last time we did this.
Mhm.
But anyway, let's get to it. See if I can time the start of that run with this one. Oh well, it'll be off by a couple seconds. Ah. So right out of the gate, it puts us into a training area where it lets you mess around with the powers, but nothing important to do here. We're just gonna
Welcome to
completely
the
walk to the door and leave.
And this is the first instance in the run where we're going to do a skip or a
Your
glitch
adventure
that
begins
happens a
here
lot
in
in
the
this
water
run
realm.
called the
The
power storage
destruction of the
glitch.
discs has caused you to lose your elemental
Anytime
powers.
Azurik has
As you
his
search
elemental
the
powers,
elemental
you can equip
realms
them
for
by
the
holding down the
various
left
disc
trigger and
fragments,
pressing
you
the
will also
appropriate
want to
elemental
search for
powers
ways to
with the
restore
AX, Y, and
your
B buttons,
elemental
and then
powers.
releasing the left trigger to equip them with your axiom. Now, in this particular case, you'll notice that his
Step on these
axiom
round
has steam coming off of it. So what we just did right there is we it's interesting you
Launch
took that save
yourself
there, by the way.
across the
But
ocean.
anyways, we took the steam power by basically tricking the game into thinking that we still have it, even though we have no elemental powers here on the
Press
bottom
the
right-hand
Y.
corner of the screen. If you hold down the left
Collect
trigger from a
100
save file where you do have the elemental powers, the game will still think that you have it, even if you pull up a different save file or load a different
Collect
state of the
100.
game where you no longer have them. So basically, while we were in the tutorial and had the potential to equip the steam power, we held
Collect
down the left trigger,
100 diamonds.
was about to equip the steam power, and held the left trigger down through that cutscene in the beginning. And then as soon as we released the left trigger, the game still thought we had the power and gives it to us here, which is extremely important because
Collect 100.
ordinarily when you're at this very first part of the game, there's this steam block, this ice block here that he's running up to, that you cannot
This is
melt
the
until
second.
later in the game, which she melts now, and that saves you like the first 30 minutes of regular playthrough of the game.
I've actually wondered whether or not it's really that much faster to go get. So the reason we do this is we can go get the first air power very quickly. But going and getting water power 1
To swim?
and then going and getting air power doesn't change the routing very much. I'm actually curious how much of a time save it is, because I bet it's
Yeah.
less than a minute.
In the first world record run done by Silly Goose and my improvement on that world record run done slightly later, which was a 235 and a 224 respectively, we each went with the water power one first. That was just the traditional way of doing it. And then you actually did some experimentation and thought that getting air first was slightly faster, and I'm inclined to agree. I think that it's one of those things where the difference might be slightly marginal, but I think it is faster to get air first, as you're doing here.
Well, either way, it's how I've been running it for, I don't know, the past 30 attempts that I've done. Basically
Yeah.
since I'd set like a 220 time probably.
Mhm.
But my time savings are not because of this, it is because of many other things that I found.
Mhm.
But right out of the gate, we're going in down into this tube because it brings us a little further into this area. From here, we can jump off the ledge and hop onto some lily pad-looking metal structures, using roll jumps to jump between them and making our way to the air power. Normally, you're not able to jump between these lily pads, it's only through this, which is roll jumping, a technique that makes it think that you're still on the ground despite being in the air. It works so long as you have some form of animation that you'd normally perform on the ground. If you can chain them together by using input buffering, then it's able to... Oh, no, stop that. I think I've got my hotkeys set up wrong. Oops.
We're pros here.
Completely. Anyways,
I didn't mean to interrupt you about roll jumping. I just
you're
you didn't want to miss this one.
You're totally fine. But yeah, if you can chain together animations that normally only happen on the ground, then you can make the game still think that you're on the ground while they're executing, and then you buffer a jump at the end of the animations, and it'll let you jump at significantly low places from where you started.
So this not only enables you to do a single jump further forward, but it also enables you to do it also just enables you to fall a significant distance. You can do 5 roll jumps in a row, unless you start your roll jump just before you fall off a ledge, in which case you can technically do 6, but there's never a scenario in the run where you need to do 6.
Yeah, it's a matter of if you started falling immediately after pressing roll, 5 is safe, and then it's like 5.5 before you reach terminal velocity and void out.
So you'll notice there that we just loaded the tutorial of the game again. This is doing the power storage glitch again. This time we're using it to get the acid power, so you'll notice that his Axion is now glowing green to melt this acid block here. This enables us to get to a level that is way, way later in the game. At least later in the early game. You're never supposed to get it this early. So that's why we did the little save rigmarole there. Now we're going to do a very lovely skip that Jetfighter discovered, based on a skip that's the last skip of the game, which involves a similar elevator boost. Jetfighter discovered this elevator boost that gets us to this Earth Disk fragment significantly faster than the previous speedrun strategy was.
Basically, the way it works is as long as you're still moving when you make contact with a... I'm really bad at this.
It's okay.
As long as you make... As long as you make contact with a moving platform while moving yourself, it'll preserve your momentum and act like a bat hitting a baseball, and amplifying the amount of momentum you have. In this case, sending you straight up in the air.
Conservation of momentum is a very important part of this run in a lot of the skips that you have to do to make yourself faster. It's also why we're jumping. Even on flat ground, you do move ever so slightly faster, and if you're on any sort of a downward incline, you'll move faster from jumping, which is why he was jumping down on the first hill of the beach earlier, for example.
Yes.
And yeah, the physics engine in this game is... It's kind of flawed, but honestly, there's still parts of it that are realistic, and they did a good job of maintaining that. That's a very clear example of where it wasn't.
Yeah, so I'll point out a couple of the changes with Emulator. So far, we've only noticed a couple. First of all, the load times between, like loading to the main menu and between areas are significantly faster, usually. But also, I've noticed that there's some visual changes. The Axion, I guess, special effects that happen when you put on a Axion power, like the water or acid power, as we've seen. They seem to be a little bit, I guess, less pronounced in emulation.
Split. By the way, I want to, yeah.
I normally never use splits with my runs, so I am just never used to using them.
Yeah. I want to very quickly highlight a trick you did just there, which is really important later in the run. Every time, your goal in the game is to pick up all the disc fragments of the elemental discs because your antagonist has stolen all of the discs of the elements.
All 20 fragments.
All 20 fragments. And what he did just there was a very quick skip that saved like 5 seconds, but, you know, saving 5 seconds in a world record run is really important. Basically, every time Azurik picks up a disc fragment, he stands there for approximately 5 seconds, acknowledging that he picked up the disc fragment. And so what that means is what he did to skip that was he jumped through the disc fragment and fell in the water. And that prevents Azurik from having the dialogue where he goes, huh, a disc fragment, and has an explosion there. So that was just a cute little 5-second save, but very important to keep in mind. There are a couple of fragments there are a lot of fragments that you want to jump through and then land in water so that you don't have the animation of picking up the fragment.
Yeah, we do that for this upcoming fire disc. We do that for the life disc in fire area 3. But yeah, if we
And fire
skip
2, but yes.
animation, we do. Oh, you're rated as 2. I was confused the way they did those.
Oh, yeah.
Right now we've got a trick that I discovered.
And I still have no idea how you do it. It's actually incredible.
So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm getting aggro on these bots so that they follow me. Bots have a unique, I guess, pathing, where if bots are near each other, they will kind of corral towards each other, and the place that they will cover is an average of where they were originally spawned. So I grab these 4, and then they kind of locomote around this area that's between me and some higher up terrain that I want to stand on. But their hitbox is invisible and kind of disjointed, like you can see just there. But just that was enough to get me up on this terrain, and now I skipped about 2.5 minutes of walking around icebergs. One more time to go back to power storage.
Skip 2.5 minutes of walking around icebergs in a speedrun route. Like, the actual route to do this level is minutes past that.
Oh, yeah.
You'll notice that we're doing one last power storage glitch here.
Actually, I think there's one after this, man.
Oh, there is one more after this one.
Which,
so
you guys, or I suppose your run and Silly Goose's run, I believe don't
What?
because of different routing.
What?
Ow! I'll say that literally every time.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was
the mistake here.
That was an unfortunate note there. That bridge is notoriously terrible for bots knocking you off the edge here. It could have been a lot worse because he could have gotten knocked off into the water, in which case he would have had to reload the save. This is only going to lose him about 15 seconds. Yeah, and have to redo the power storage glitch, which would have lost at least a minute. But this is going to lose him about 15 seconds.
Yep, not a huge mistake.
Yeah, especially because the route overall is going significantly faster.
Yeah. I guess it's also worth saying that any percent speedrun is in the position where we want to save minutes, but aren't too worried about seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be so bad at this upcoming.
Oh, that's interesting. I never go up that platform there, but that is a slight time save there than walking around the side. Okay, so this skip is infamous. This is just classic. Gamers are lazy. Basically, there's a mechanic in this level where this ice bridge that you're making here can have snow placed over the top of it, so you don't slip as you try to walk on it. But we're gamers and we don't have time for that, so we're just manually flying on this bridge, which is really difficult when you first learn it. You will fall into the water so many times when you do this initially, but nailed it here.
When I was first learning this, when I was first learning this trick, or the any percent speedrun that is, I would actually go and get this fragment a lot later because I hate doing that trick.
Totally. So you'll notice there that he once again jumped through the fragment and fell in the water, which saved 5 seconds. And now swimming. Azurik does swim faster than he runs, but there is no point in the run where it actually makes a difference.
Yeah, not
right?
really.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of, like, how much time does it save you, I mean, I can only think of a couple of times where you have the option of swimming versus running. Or, I guess, flying.
Sure.
Cheese.
This is gorgeous. Yeah.
Just barely enough to get there.
I'll actually very quickly point out, he just did what we call an axion grab there. So basically, anytime Azurik is jumping forward towards a ledge, there's a climbing animation when he grabs the ledge. There's a slow climbing animation and a fast climbing animation. And then there's axion grabbing where you attack the ledge with your weapon and it instantly, if you're high enough on the ledge, it will instantly pull him up the ledge, which is a massive time save.
A little thing with that is when you're pulling yourself up on a ledge or doing any other animation that moves you from one position to another,
Welcome to the
positioning of your hitbox changes instantaneously, but the animation takes a moment to catch up. So you'll notice you can get hit while pulling yourself up as though you were standing on the top of the ledge.
This is an error, and it's also, he did have to think about that because he has the steam power equipped. If he had just tried to swim back to the ledge, he would have had to redo the power storage glitch. Hit your split.
Yeah, if we fell in the water, we would have lost the steam power, but we didn't want to do that because we would have had to, lose like 40 seconds, 50 seconds.
Also, the steam power, even after getting the disc fragment, it's very nice to have here because it means that you can one-shot these sleets here that are in front of you because they are weak to the steam power if you do a jumping attack.
Yeah, sleets I believe only have,
Look for
HP.
They have 6 base HP, which means that a level 1 steam power will one-shot it with a jumping attack.
Yeah, the way that works is if you have any power on, water, steam, whatever,
Press the action button.
it will double your damage for level 1, quadruple for level 2, and then I believe it's times 8 for level 3.
You have turned on the...
And then if an enemy...
If they're weak to it, yes. The multipliers are, if it's a neutral power, it'll be 1, 2, 4 for levels 1, 2, and 3 respectively, and then if they're weak to it, it's times 3, times 5, and times 8. So in this case, the steam power does 3 times the amount of damage that it should, because it's a level 1 steam power and they're weak to it. So because the sleep has 6 HP and a jumping attack does 2 damage, 2 times 3 is 6, and it
Press
one-shots
the
the
X button.
I started getting better at this.
This is not a speed running puzzle. This is a puzzle you have to do in the game anyways, but it's always wonderful to see this puzzle get done quickly.
I have to put out all the fire within, I think, like a 10-second time.
Yep.
Otherwise, the fire will pop back up again. And, yeah.
Ah, darn.
Oh, I missed
So
the
he
axiom grab.
so he tried. Oh, it actually worked anyways. So basically, he tried to
use your-
axiom grab forward to pick up the water power as the cutscene was happening, where it rotated the camera, and then
Lost track of my spacing there.
yeah. But it still gave him the animation anyways while he was picking up the thing.
Yeah, normally you can just back up through the fire before it reloads after getting the power, but I made a mistake there.
Yeah. And walk on the bridge so that you don't fall off the side. But
So yeah, lots of small mistakes. Still plenty of ways I can optimize, but
now this is a moment where the emulation really comes in clutch, because ordinarily you may not take this save here. Every time you reload a save, your elemental powers and your health, it only loads a certain amount into the game, but since we're not increasing our health bar or our elemental powers at any point in the run, for all intents and purposes, it fully restores our health and elemental powers. So usually in a speed run, you probably wouldn't reload a save there because you want to reload your elemental powers closer to when you would actually want them to be full again. But since the emulation takes no time at all to reload a save, it's fine to do it there.
it's also a matter of every time you reload a save, you get all your infinite fuel back, which
Launch
means
yourself
you can
across
save
the
the
ocean.
time that it took you to reload by using your air power to jump through gaps, speed up a little bit, keep your momentum
This
going.
wall of...
Then it's just time save.
Yeah. You'll also notice that throughout this run, every time he takes a save, or almost virtually any time he takes a save, he will almost certainly be having his air power equipped. That's because if you have an armor equipped while you're taking the save, then when you reload the save, it will give you full elemental fuel, but you will also gain the charge of armor that you have equipped. And since air power is by far and away the most valuable armor to have on in this game, it's better to save with that so that you have an extra charge of it. And you'll also notice here the physics that we talked about earlier, where jumping does make you go a little bit faster. He was actually able to use his air power there to move faster up the hill than if he had just tried to run up the hill. And he's able to use it very sparingly here, or not sparingly. Liberally here, because he knows that he's about to hit another save where he can reload it immediately.
Yeah, I'm literally counting the number of jumps that I need to do before the next save, and using my air power as much as I can before it.
Is it 10 charges of air power per save?
I think we counted it once. I think it's 12 for level 1, 24 for level 2, and then 60 for air power level 3.
Yeah, got it.
I remember doing this once with you.
Yes, I think you're right.
But I don't quite remember the numbers.
Yeah. But it's 12 charges.
Yeah.
The number of jumps varies per level, but it's 12 charges. So here he's going to take the save with air power. And then as soon as he reloads the save, he will have full air power, but he'll still have the charge on. And that's just one extra. That's a 13th charge, which is really, really nice.
Something I want to interject here is we're about to pass what we call Air Disc 2, because it's where we get in the second run. You can see it up there on that ledge. It is completely surrounded by invisible walls on that upper area. Otherwise, it would be extremely easy to get.
Yeah.
Speedrunners
have been trying to figure out how to get around that barrier since the beginning of Azurik speedrunning, and nobody has been able to do it.
Honestly,
and any method that you're thinking of to get past that, I guarantee you it's been tried and it doesn't work.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like it's the easiest representation of, like, clearly there's ways to break this game.
Yeah. So right there, I'll point out, that was the first instance of roll jumping that we see that demonstrated the skipping a lethal fall mechanic. Fall damage in this game is really, really important to navigate around. Basically, if you fall a small distance, you take no damage. If you fall a moderate distance, you take some damage. And if you fall even slightly past a moderate distance, you will take completely lethal damage and you will die every time. So being able to fall a large distance can be mitigated by either jumping in water, like we're about to see here, or roll jumping, which we're about to see here. I misspoke. But he just rolled 4 times and then was able to mitigate the fall damage because the game still thought that he was on the ground, and therefore he was able to store a jump closer to the elevation that he needed, which reset his falling momentum. So yeah, roll jumping is like probably the most important mechanic in this run.
This little trick where you jump up on this and then jump over can be done without any air power.
Yeah. Split. He's done this before.
I promise.
Key.
So right now we're just gonna go activate these rail cars. You can see the one to my left here. But we need to take 2 keys to this central gizmo, kind of power it, make them active. This will give us access to the rest of the Earth realm.
Little flub there. There's a couple of those little flubs. They happen to the best of us. So you'll see there that jump attacked one shot of that sleeve because of the damage calculation we talked about earlier. And every mob in the game has an element that they're weak to. Every standard mob, I should say. Some bosses do not. But the way to tell what a mob is weak to is when you kill it, it'll drop globes that replenish your elemental fuel. And the color globes that they drop correspond to their element. So, like, for example, a Sleeth, the mob you just killed there, drops water globes and fire globes. And when you put those together, you get the steam power. So you can figure out what element a mob is weak to. Some mobs have differing powers that they're weak to depending on their state. So, for example, a regular golem that's not empowered by an overlord is weak to the lightning power, and a golem that is empowered by an overlord is weak to the tornado power. So it all depends.
Yeah, I think most mandatory things we kill in run don't have weakness. You can think of red lords being an exception, but most of the time you just don't have to kill anything other than bosses, which, yeah, as I said, don't have vulnerabilities.
I mean, even when you play Azurik the first time, the room that we're in right now, you feel so pressured to kill all the enemies in the room, even though it is absolutely impossible with how underpowered your character is in the game. It's just like an absolute slogfest that you will not have a good time doing. But in the speedrun, we obviously just skip most mobs.
Flanking me.
They were flanking you.
I'm actually wondering if it's possible to skip the excavators.
Ooh.
I've been researching ways to try to get to the lower Earth tree, but nothing yet. But I have found some new out-of-bounds stuff that I've been researching.
Nice.
Something I'll note with, I guess, me and this game is I'm not actually that much of a speedrunner. I'm not very good at, I guess, skill-based games. But I do like finding glitches, and because of that, I've been able to take the leads. But I think, given time, other people can just outpace me. So right here, I'm actually using the ice power in order to stun the shard monsters, because they very often end up hitting the monsters that I want to hit, and making it to where I can't damage them because they're immune to damage while they're stunned.
Yeah,
The green
this
globe.
is what these red mobs are the red overlords we talked about earlier. Where we do actually,
globe.
these are some of the only mobs in the entire game that we actually have to kill for this room because they unlock key receptacles here. That was really, really cool what happened there. He actually killed both of them at once, and they each have a cutscene where they unlock a key. So he skipped a cutscene there, which is very nice. It saves 5 seconds. And you'll also notice that his elemental fuel is basically depleted because he did the ultimate attack where you use every elemental power, and it drains a lot of elemental power to do a small AoE, a small radius AoE, but it does a pretty considerable amount of damage.
Yeah, that
And he used it early on in that fight.
I'm actually wondering if it's best to approach that little fight there with the 2 overlords by just doing 2 rainbow powers. Something that's a little
Can you
hard
do
to-
2 in a row?
You can do 2 in a row if you don't. If you start with full power and you don't
Oh.
use too much trying to, I guess, manage.
Yeah, you really have to make sure you nail it, though.
Yeah, because otherwise
I
you
know
gotta
that's a pretty
reload
big
save
guess.
and then it's just time lost.
Yep.
And if you reload save, it helps.
So as you can see in the overall splits here, lots of time saved. And this has been there have been a couple of mistakes here and there, but overall this is an exceptionally smooth run. There hasn't been any mistake that's like completely... There's been no mistake that's lost more than 30 seconds at a time. And again, using the rainbow power here to kill all this here is part of the strat that now comes of... It's accessible to us because we're using an emulator, because the save times are going to be significantly faster.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that with hardware load. That's time loss.
Key.
Something to say though is most of the time the only elemental power we need is air. So the fact that those what are these called, scribs?
Yes.
The scribs were there and gave me air power means that I can probably go for quite a while without needing elemental power.
It's worth noting there are 6 red overlords to kill in this room that unleash 6 keys. We only need 3 of them.
4?
Or do we need 4?
We need 4. Although
We
I'm
need
working
4,
on
that's
getting
right.
one out.
So now he's going around the room to collect those keys. And again, with how quickly he can reload a save, he's using the air power literally to move slightly faster in the room.
key.
Yeah, I'm not using the save in here though, because I know that there was one right after this minecart, right?
Yeah. Each of those red overlords in that room gives you access to a key terminal, as you saw, and there are 6 keys in that room. And in the early days of speedrunning this game, you did need all 6 of the keys to complete the run. And obviously, when you're playing the game through normally, you need all 6 keys to complete the run. But we have recently figured out how to cut 2 of those keys because of a skip that will be coming up. Probably the most important skip in the game that's been discovered in the meta over the last couple of years. At first by Silly Goose, but has been, dare I say, perfected by you, Jetfighter.
I mean, I don't...
Called the Tree Song Skip, which, again, we'll talk about later.
I'd say I still get it less than half the time, but I do get it, obviously, 50% of the time, and
yeah,
that is
that's still really high.
I would just rather re-attempt it than do the other way.
Yeah. The TLDR is that the Tree Song Skip is a skip that involves a lot of RNG. However, if it successfully lands, you basically skip 7 minutes worth of the game, which is a lot of time to save, and so it's worth it to go for the skip there.
So something you'll notice in the splits that I've done is the last world record deviates in route a bit, so I changed up. I'm going directly for Air Power 2 rather than what the old world record did, where it would go and get it a little different lead.
Oh, I forgot the split for the life disc.
I also forgot the split for the life disc, so I just clicked skip.
Okay.
Either way, I just really wanted these times here so you can see, like,
totally.
roughly at minute 58 is when we'll be completing Earth Disc 4, or in other words known as the
the lag that you see from the game there never happens on a console. From the packet loss you're seeing never comes from a console. That's from the emulator.
Yeah. There are upsides and downsides to Emulator. So far, I think it's for the better, but
totally.
We may have to, I guess, as moderators, me, Silly Goose, and TJ, do some, I guess, clarifications on how we want some things to be run. Like when the emulator crashes. Should we count that against players, or should we not? For the sake of timing this run, we assume that crashes count against time, but I think in the future we'll probably, well, we'll have to have a discussion on that.
We don't have too much time in this run to talk about the individual skips of the actual levels themselves. This level is quite long and quite arduous when you're first doing it. But here we're able to go through it pretty much in a flash due to a couple of very, very nice skips. You'll notice that he took the save here and did not reload. That was deliberate. This bridge here is, I'm not going to say it's a run killer, but the mobs that are on this bridge are extremely unforgiving.
It's absolutely killed my runs.
It has killed runs before, 100%. You will get to the end of this long skip, and there will be 2... Why can I not remember their names now? Basilisks? No.
Catalysks.
Catalysks, thank you. At the end of this bridge, that will knock you off this bridge, and it's just the worst thing in the world. So he took that save there as a precaution in case that happens.
Yeah.
So he doesn't lose, like, 2.5 minutes.
You'll also notice that the Catalisk on the bridge, I decided to keep attacking until it was off the bridge, and that's just a personal thing. I just hate having to deal with them.
I would too. I would too. You can tell that we've been scarred by Catalisks on this bridge.
Yeah, and even still, I believe in this one I actually kind of fight my way up this hill, but it's probably fastest to try to just book it.
Ooh, there's some major lag there.
Oh yeah.
So these Catalisks, these are the ones. Believe me when I tell you that what looked kind of simple there is an absolute run killer in like a third to half of the runs that you do. It's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I'd say playing it most safe is you kill them, playing it least safe is you try to just run past them, and I kind of split the difference there by using the ice power to freeze them.
This level is one of the longest and
Casually.
most unforgiving levels in the game, but we have developed some really excellent skips for this level. This one here.
Sorry, I got some big lag here. That's why I'm hesitating.
Oh, I see.
You can still see it's going. No, this was a really stressful jump.
Oh, totally.
While I was executing it.
Yeah.
Did a little bit of misplay here. You can go to the top of the ladder to get a multicolored globe and replenish your
multicolored,
but it would have just been faster to go over to the save point.
Yes, and that's specifically an emulator strategy, not a console strategy.
Which is probably why I still was doing it, because I am much more practiced on console.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what was causing all the lag. I've noticed with emulators, you'll usually get crashes when if you're starting up a game or loading into a new area for the first time. Usually starting the new game, like going to the tutorial. Other than that, if you use the cheat to teleport between areas, I've noticed it can crash there sometimes. And other than that, it just seems sporadic.
So, the two skips here, both the one to get up to that tower with the multicolored orb and the cliff that he just jumped up right now, those are the only two skips in this level. And previously there were two other strats that replaced each of those in the previous world record runs, including I think the one you had right before this. I think we still did the jump up that slope, that really cool jump up that slope.
So you said that's the only skip, but I think technically you're supposed to fight the
skip.
You're supposed to fight the blaze sentinels there, and then the platform actually just stops at the disc. So I believe it does count as
Oh, really?
So,
I never realized that.
Honestly, I think it's better if you do the speedrun trick.
Oh yeah,
so many
totally.
times.
I don't think anybody's gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to convince him there, but the rock shark blocked me.
Yeah. I usually have an air power at the very bottom of that to fly out a little bit more, but it was still very good conservation of momentum nonetheless.
I'm actually wondering if there's another way that we can sort of save the time since it's large, just walking areas, is finding ways to, I guess, jump against a wall and then the momentum gives you, push you towards where you're going, and you can observe that. Something I've been thinking about but haven't done research into yet. Also, that's a little bit of a change from what people normally do. I found that you can just walk, or I guess fly up that hill if you use flaps on the slippery ledge. Normally we go a couple ways around it. I've seen a couple of different ways that people have done it. I think usually I jump on the spires, but I think that's a little faster. Haven't timed it though. So right here we've got an interesting trick that I usually fail. I can't remember if I got it in the speedrun. You can get... Yeah, okay, I did fail it. Normally you can get up and over a invisible barrier right there and make it all the way to the opposite side of this this ridge, which will give you access to this life disc fragment.
Yeah.
And,
I'm gonna point out something about the skip you just did, but let's watch this first, see if you get it. So you jump through the life disc fragment there to
get on the slippery hills. If I wasn't moving fast enough, I wouldn't go into a slide, which would delay the animation.
Yeah. There is a way to jump off of that hill and land on this teleporter and have the disc pickup animation happen while the teleporter does its animation, if you do it perfectly, but it's tricky to line up.
Saves you
but the other thing
5 seconds, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it does look very cool. Split. The other thing is that the hill, when he started that save from where he was a moment ago, he jumped straight from the save fragment, and you can go straight from there across the invisible barrier, and he had to do it the standard way, but it's super sexy if you can do it on the first try. Also, I don't think I've seen this, but I like it already.
And that was the first crash.
Oh no.
So yeah, emulator crashes sometimes. Is what it is. I think this one costs me 2.5 minutes. But what do you mean?
Well,
you
we can check it. 3750.
get the disc by jumping on the stairs?
Well, no, I knew the trick by jumping on the stairs, but I think that I started like from the base of that ramp. I didn't jump across from the ramps on the other side.
Okay. Yeah, you could definitely do both. I think I'm just used to using the opposite side.
So this is the
that
sexy jump we were talking about, and you got it. Perfect.
Oh, it gets even sexier than that, but not this time.
Yeah. Do you have to reset the split, or does it not matter?
Missed the slide.
That's not good.
Yeah, so this route goes and gets air power 2 first, and that's so that I can perform a different trick later rather than having to do a longer route around. So traveling this way actually loses a little bit of time, but I believe it saves more time in a later section. Also, you notice that it's very dark, you can barely see anything. Right now it's daytime, and it makes caves a little brighter. But while I have that light, it's easier to see where I'm jumping. If I came in during night, I probably would wait to get this disc until I come back to this area.
Yeah.
But since it's day, I decided to nab it while I could.
Split.
Ha! A disc fragment.
Yeah, so that was about a 2-minute time loss there.
In this level hides the Earth God.
Yeah, so the game gives you the fire armor, which is just the fire elements alone. And that's supposed to light up these dark areas as a mechanic. It's intended. The game is not intentionally left this dark and with no way to solve it.
No. That was an example of a 5-roll jump. If you try to roll one more time, the other way that you can trigger lethal falling damage in this game is by just falling for an indeterminate amount of distance. Eventually, it'll just kill you no matter what, because it suspects that you're going to die no matter what.
Yeah, I believe that it's roughly between what 2 rolls and 3 rolls would be as lethal falling damage.
Also, cute little trick there. When he put that key in the receptacle, he jumped forward as he did it, so that his character would move slightly forward while the animation of the keyframe was happening. That was a gorgeous jump right there to get on that ladder.
Yeah, that's another.
All right. This is all like kind of nonsense, just like going through the game and trying to do what we're doing. But oh, are you gonna do it, you mad lad?
Yeah. So the way to skip this area
Oh dear God.
is to go up here. You can do this with Air 1, but it's a lot harder. And then you do a roll jump,
Oh, right.
and then you go for this ladder because it's standable terrain.
Because you have Air 2 now, that's right. Gotcha.
Yep. So this saves you from having to walk around all the conveyor belts, not riding boulders, jumping on boulders.
Yeah.
So it saves, I'm gonna guess, minute, 10 seconds, roughly.
Yeah, I would guess 35 seconds, yeah.
But that's why I decided to go get Air Power 2 before I get this class.
There was, I want to say there was one day where Jetfighter and I were hanging out in Discord for about an hour with Air Power 1 in this room, trying to skip this part with Air Power 1. And I would say that each of us had a 0.5% success rate trying to get on that ladder. It was absolutely impossible, and it was 0 out of 10 would recommend.
It might just be a matter of training more. But
That's true.
I like to
It was
take the safer route.
really, really difficult.
That was really bad. Little baby cattles just always running up, hitting the elevator.
That was
I
actually
jump off the
closer. You weren't fully on the elevator there. It might have launched up before you were on it.
And this is the part of the run where TJ complains about ladders.
I do. I hate ladders with a burning fiery passion. They're terrible.
Just a
They're
little,
so slow.
Just a little
and
inside joke.
there is no way to make them go faster. The only thing you can do, you can actually axiom grab ladders. So if you're standing at the base of a ladder, you can. Oh, that was gorgeous right there.
Oh,
So
yeah,
he did
getting
the
double key
same.
insert.
He did the same jump key animation that I mentioned about a minute ago, but he did it with 2 keys in a row, so he was able to skip 3 or 4 seconds of the key animation.
Real quick here, I'm about to do a 5-roll jump to avoid lethal falling damage. You can get about as close to the edge as you can, and you'll be just fine.
And it's also worth noting that he'll be just fine here because he has air power 2.
Yeah.
In previous routing for the world record, you only had air power 1 when you did that, and it was really, really difficult.
Yeah,
But it saved so much time.
You'd have to get a lot closer to the ground, which means standing a lot closer to the edge. I missed the cycle on the excavator here. Loses about 15 seconds, but gives us time to show off the ice armor, which looks sick
the
as
coolest
heck.
coolest armor in the game. It's so cool.
So yeah, this is the load trigger that I'm trying to find a way to trigger without activating the excavators. If we can do that, we can skip getting the 4th drill key, as well as activating the excavators at all, which probably would be a 5-minute time save. So this little room with the giant crystal in it is known as the Song Room, and is normally where we play the tree song to open the gate to access the upper great tree. But we're going to do something that skips it at a later point in the run, although I'm actually going to do it right now anyways to get access to a different section of this area. This is something that I like to do, A, to practice doing the tree song skip, but also I think if you do it well, it will save a bit of time. So basically the way it works is we jump on that section of this route, and then we go and jump on this, I guess, perpendicular section, and then mash jump every 1/3 of a second. And if you do it right, you get a launch like that, which throws you up really high into the air. This will give us access to an upper section of this area, which we want so that we can access these spotlights and turn them onto some of these lamps, which will activate a laser beam slash lift arrow. I don't know what I would call it.
Yeah, like a laser conveyor belt. Also, the game is not meant to have Azurik jump that high or get that far up the map, but sometimes when you launch, you will actually bug out and erase some of the graphics on this level. So it's actually kind of lucky that he didn't erase some of them, because like it's hard to use some of the spotlights correctly if you erase the graphics on this level.
Yeah, I believe the way that works is different terrain will load depending on certain load triggers placed throughout the map. And if you're flying through the air, the developer certainly didn't intend for you to be there, and therefore you may not hit some of the load triggers. I actually took a safe route here rather than the more dangerous route that I've been trying to implement. That requires you going and, I guess, doing some terrain jumping to get to the upper section, and then more immediately over to the next spotlight. But I haven't gotten quite good enough at it yet to where I wanted to take this run, which was on really good pace.
He tried to do a jump axiom grab there to skip the climbing animation entirely, and it usually works. I think that should have counted, frankly, but...
Big lag.
Big lag. And by the way, on this run, I'm keeping track of every zone transition, every save reset, all the power storage glitches, all the lag spikes, and all the game crashes.
And you're doing that to try to check what the time save slash time loss is for emulator loading times?
Yes. So yeah, we're getting into this blue laser conveyor belt, I'll call it, to get this last Earth Disk fragment. The way it works in standard playthroughs of the game is you have to get 3 fragments out of 4 of an elemental disc in order to open a seal that enables you to get the last fragment that is guarded by the guardian of that element. So in this case, there's a reload. We have to get this last Earth Disk fragment, so now we have 3, and then we'll be able to use it to pop the Earth Disk seal and fight the Earth Guardian to get the final piece of the fragment and complete the disc.
There's another theoretical skip here where I think it is possible to get this Earth Disk without activating the lanterns, but I haven't been able to execute it yet, and it has to do with if you don't hit those certain load triggers to load terrain, that includes disc fragments.
Yep.
So I haven't found a way to get over to that disc fragment while it is loaded using skips.
Totally. Is it possible to load the disc and then use the tree song skip to fly over there?
Well, so that was the thought, is if you use the tree song skip to get a lot of height, could you climb along some of the exterior terrain, avoiding invisible walls to get over there? And I haven't been able to do that yet. I think it is because the load triggers for the disc are outside of, or are inside boundaries, so traveling outside of the boundaries will cause it to load.
In this level hides the earth.
I can't remember if I got the good skip or the bad skip on this one. I definitely tried to go for the good skip, where I jump up on this pillar, missed it the first time, that's fine, I can still save it. Basically, I want to jump along the upper section of that moving platform, and it'll take me directly to the Earth power, but I think if you miss it, it's actually faster to go around.
There is also another way to do this section that was pioneered by Ruake, I believe was his name. I don't know how to pronounce it, but rip. Ruake found a way to roll jump along a little rock formation off to the left there to get this Earth Power fragment, and for the life of me, I don't understand how he does it. Like, if I do 20 attempts of it, I'll hit it on like 4, maybe 5. It's really, really hard. It works, but it's very, very cool.
Yeah, I've done it as well, but I can't do it consistently.
It's really, really tricky, but it's so fast and it's so cool.
You notice when using the fire armor, it usually causes a bit of lag. Another emulator problem, but yeah. So actually, almost a fair bit of time on this sector.
Yeah. Now, it looks like he's just running into absolutely nowhere, but he does, in fact, know exactly where he's going and got through that very nicely.
Yeah, a lot of muscle. Oh, I forgot about this. I was trying to activate the force shield, but I accidentally flubbed and hit air power along with the other 3. Yeah. And this cost me a little bit of time for having to reload.
Yeah, this probably is about 20 seconds, maybe 30. Also, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that you did that and then didn't save the animation of the rainbow-colored axion. Like if you do the rainbow attack and then you immediately attack thereafter, it'll keep the rainbow color on your axion for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Every time you attack.
Pigmentation, but it doesn't offer any power damage or any damage.
Of course not. But it's cool. We do things because they're cool, not because they're practical.
Because it's rainbow and we're LGBT friendly.
Exactly. Nope, we just lost half our audience. Alright, so this is the Earth Guardian, and this fight is super easy. You don't even attack him. You get tornadoes to attack him for you. Basically, he's just trying not to die from everything that's happening right now while he goes and melts 4 acid blocks. That's it. Oh, I like the air guardian the most.
You like the air guardian?
Only because the speedrunning strat is so lovely to execute correctly, and when you do it, you just feel it's just hilarious watching it happen. Although I do really like the fire guardian fight as well, and the water guardian. I just don't like this one. I think the other ones are great.
I think I'm most partial to the water guardian fight.
It's a very cool fight.
I love the mix of the elements. How you're supposed
Totally.
to.
Yes, I think that is very good.
Yeah, there's not really much time saved to be made during this fight, sadly.
Yeah.
I know that it's faster
we
to
have
go
mapped
around.
out. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
what? I know that it's faster to go around counterclockwise if you've got air power 3 because you can jump over some of the terrain. But not
Oh,
doable
I never thought about that.
80%.
I never thought about that, but yeah, that would not ever apply in a standard run because you'll never have air power 3 at this rate. All right, so this is the first of several, I'll say, tower fall skips. Tower fall skips were not implemented in any early speedrun of Azurik because they were just way too dangerous and nobody wanted to try them.
Didn't me and you discover them while doing bingo races?
We did, and they're amazing, and you just nailed that one. I actually do it slightly differently there, but I think I'll do that method. Oh, God.
Yeah, that one you actually
I
have to
think
use...
both of us just had a heart attack.
Yeah, no, those bots knocked me off more times than I care to count. But with the tower fall skip, something to mention is that you actually do have to have air power 2 to perform that skip.
Right, because you need to do an extra flap.
Yeah, every time you do an air power jump while falling, it prolongs how far you fall before terminal velocity kicks in and you void out.
Well, I really know how to tell you when to do a skip. Or, I'm sorry, we got it at disc 4.
That's fine, I'll get this one. I'm paying attention this time.
Alright. Anyways. But yeah, the tower fall skips, originally in the speedrunning meta, they were completely discouraged because it was really risky. You have a pretty high chance of dying if you don't know how to do them correctly. And if you mess up, then you have to go back and do the previous Guardian, which is a huge time loss. And it saves probably about, depending on which tower fall skip you're doing, it saves probably anywhere from like 45 seconds to a minute if you do it right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So right now we're using some standable terrain to go out of bounds. There's invisible walls preventing other means of getting up here, but for some reason not this one.
Yep. This level is very easily exploitable in so many ways. And this is an example of a Guardian that you can fight without having to break the seal.
Let's see, which Guardians have we discovered how you can fight without breaking the seal?
I mean, if you cheat, you can do the Air Guardian, but no matter how much you cheat, you can't do anything else.
Well, so there's cheating in terms of using the level select, which will get you Air Guardian. But Fire Guardian you can do just without anything. Swarmed by a bunch of bots. And then we discovered you can do the Water Guardian if you have the Save Anywhere cheat, which we have a specific category for doing.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, because you can use Save Anywhere to kind of clip through certain terrain. Basically, when you load into a save, you're actually at a slightly higher position than where the save actually is. Using this, we're able to, in water, slowly rise through that water, even through terrain. And then in standing on the ground, we can clip through some overhanging ledges. But I think there's still a lot we can learn about clipping through walls with that.
Mm-hmm. Also want to very quickly point out the skip he did just there where he climbed up that piece of the broken temple along the left there to get up to this platform here, is something that Jetfighter discovered. It does save time as opposed to going back up the terrace that we went to get the 3rd level firepower.
Actually, I don't think I did.
Really?
I don't think I
I certainly
discovered that,
didn't.
but I don't remember who it would have been if so.
I certainly didn't.
I want to say Dendris.
Oh,
did
Dendris
a
might have.
cheap
No,
percent
that no. You're probably right. Yeah.
run. Could be wrong though.
But
No, I feel like my greatest contributions to this speedrun come with making tree
The
songs
tree
get
songs,
more
yeah.
reliable.
totally.
And the thing immediately after it, which is Area
Yes.
1.
Yeah, totally. The late game skips are crazy. By the way, I want to point out this fight here, you have to attack the Fire Guardian 5 times with firepower on each platform. But right there, that was a perfect execution of the fight because he was able to pin the Guardian in a corner, which meant that there was no room to shuffle around the platform after she takes a hit. So here, like, you'll see that it runs away, and now it's going to take longer to clear.
You'll also notice that I'm using the water power to extinguish fire. This is for 2 reasons. A, it saves on life and slash shield power, but also it helps reduce some of the lag.
Yes. Especially on a console, I feel like it's less pronounced here.
I found
I don't
that
know.
once the emulator starts up and gets going, it seems to run a little better.
Gotcha.
But I still have to experiment. I haven't really done that much time on emulator yet.
Again, this is the first full run on an emulator, so we have lots to learn still.
Yeah, I did do one other run where I was doing the save percent, or save anywhere category. Basically, it's same as any percent, but you can use the save anywhere cheat, like the developers intended, but sadly never got around to implementing as a real feature.
It's crazy to see how far this has come. I mean, if you had told me when I was a kid that you'd be able to kill the first 2 Guardians of this game in an hour, I would have told you were out of your mind. So, again, some very nice pin RNG here. Guard moving around. Okay, and then here, you have one last fun little trick you can do. If you jump forward and attack, the disc fragment will drop, and you'll do the animation for picking up the disc as the Guardian is dying, which is great. Split. Okay, so this is Tower Fall number 2.
We call it Tower Fall Waterside. This is probably the
Yes.
easiest to execute.
Oh, this one is really easy.
All you have to do is land here while moving slightly forward. And you'll land on a part of the terrain which will slide you forward and cancel all of your lethal momentum, at least.
Yeah.
I think you still take a small amount of damage.
I just realized, are you doing these tower skips from the terrace above the one that we usually do, or am I going insane?
I don't remember where...
Because you have air power too.
I don't remember where we would do them before.
Yeah. Anyways, this is a fantastic skip.
I still
Even
mess
though
this one up sometimes.
I hate this skip from what it did to my world record run. I lost 5 minutes on this skip on my world record run. I was so pissed. It was terrible. But this is just a thing of beauty here. I believe it was Rui who discovered this. It might have been Silly Goose. I don't remember. But this skip is just a thing of beauty. I don't know how in the world they figured out where the load trigger was from this part of the terrain, but God bless them, because it's gorgeous. Basically, when you're actually playing this game and you're trying to get this skip... Oh, that's some very nice terrain jumping you're doing there. So basically, there's a long side quest that you have to do with this part of the water level where you have to go into this underwater installation and open a periscope that shoots a torpedo that breaks a canyon that you go into and walk through a small maze to finally get to this door that leads you into the town and gets a water disc fragment. But we are professionals, and we have discovered the exact place that you are supposed to jump to hit this load trigger for this door without having to do any of that. And that's how it's done.
Yeah, no, it's
What?
a trick I still mess up quite a bit. am wondering if there's any faster ways of getting out of bounds in this area, but I haven't spent too much time looking.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be a fun place to research.
It's funny, like, if you're ever curious what Azurik speedrunners do in our off time, if we're ever playing this game, basically what we're doing is we're going into every level with air power 3, roll jumping, and the save anywhere glitch, and we're just literally going to every part of the level that we can possibly find, and using any momentum trick to get us anywhere. And it's basically like rock climbing, but with this game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
There is a potential 5-second skip to do here, where if you break this seal at just the right angle, the suction from the tube will pull you in while this cutscene is happening.
My rule of thumb is just that you have to touch the center of the seal.
Yeah.
And it works fairly well.
So yeah, the occasional flub here, one unfortunate game crash here. However, it cannot be understated enough. This is just a very well executed run so far.
I remember there was 2 crashes, but I can't remember where.
Well, we had one in Earth 5.
Yep.
And there's one coming up sometime.
So this is the Water Guardian fight. She attacks
And it's
you
a
with...
gorgeous fight. It's
yeah,
a gorgeous fight.
This is my favorite fight in the game.
Totally.
So she attacks you using some of her water tentacles that come out of these 4 different receptacles, for lack of a better word. Basically, in order to defeat her, you have to freeze her tentacles and then shatter them using the steam power. And TJ's still better at this fight than I am. I'm not quite as good at getting multiple hits in with one jump.
This is where you talk about the skill issues of a speedrunner versus the glitch side of speedrunning. When it's like, I might be better at executing this, but you're better at finding glitches.
Well, I'll stay ahead for as long as I can keep finding them.
Totally. Yeah. So basically what we're talking about here in terms of execution for this fight, you can, in the same jump cycle where you damage a tentacle, you can very quickly switch to the steam power, like what just happened there.
Yeah, that last hit was a great example.
And you can, in one attack cycle, unfreeze and freeze the tentacle. And he's standing in the exact right spot to pick up this water disc fragment, while the cutscene of the Water Guardian dying is happening. So now we're gonna do that water.
So yeah, this is where I've been doing all mine from. Is this not where you?
Yeah, no,
really
that's it. I was going crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, for the I think you probably just do this as a force of habit, and it is a nice safety net. You don't actually have to use the air power there to do that skip. You can fall straight down.
I think if you mess up and only do a 4 roll jump rather than 5, you would have to though.
Oh yeah, totally. But I always do a 5 there.
How many tower falls are there in this whole run?
I believe 5.
5.
Right?
Well, let's see. There's going to be one after every disc collection, so that would
Then there's
reasonably
5
be
discs.
5. I can't think
Yeah.
of...
Launch yourself
Oh, no,
across
wait, there's
the ocean.
6 because we come back out of the air realm. And in this run, at least, I go to the Water Guardians arena, which will get you back to the town a little faster.
Oh, I see. Yeah, gotcha.
So I believe I do 1 water side fall, or no, 2 water side falls, 1 earth, 1 fire, and then 2 that are actually more towards the center of the tower because I'm trying to get to the safe platform at the bottom of the temple of elements.
Okay, yeah. So there would be 6 because you're going back to the Water Guardian room after the air realm. That makes sense.
Yeah. First time I've used a silver teleporter, activated it about 10 minutes into the run.
You didn't use it to come back from Water 3? After you got the
Oh,
fire
no, you're right, I
distributor?
did. You're right, I did.
I was gonna say, wait a minute.
I used to not. I used to use
Yeah.
the momentum of the whirlpool, but I don't
Buddy.
remember why I ended up swapping.
That was a silly ledge.
Oh, now I remember the next crush.
Man, I don't know how you're supposed to get up this platform if you don't know how to use the shield, because I guess they didn't actually hit you there, but there are some moments where the sleets are literally camping you at the top of that ladder and it'll knock you down. And it must have been so annoying.
Well, they've done things where they'll stand at the top of the ladder and you just can't climb.
Yeah.
Clamber to the top. Anyway, so this is the Balthazar fight, and there it goes.
It was the Balthazar fight. Okay, so this is at 105, 109.05, I'll call it.
Fortunately, the crashes aren't a huge thing because it is extremely easy and I'd say even beneficial to save very often.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That was a
Launch
1 second
yourself
load timer.
across the ocean.
I'm shocked.
Just trying to preserve my momentum as I'm heading downhill there.
Yep.
Maybe it's a good time to talk about the airship below the sea.
This is the center.
Oh, yeah. Oh, go for it.
So this airship that we're getting onto...
That's your baby right there.
I mean, I didn't discover it, sort of. So the airship that we're about to get onto and fight Balthazar on...
That's true.
Normally it only lands after you've killed the Earth Guardian and the Water Guardian. You actually don't have to kill the Fire Guardian, I've noticed.
Yep.
But the airship is actually in this area, even when it's not there. It's hidden underneath the map, below all of the water, below the whirlpool. And if we use the out of bounds that we used to get the third water disc, then we can actually... almost died right there. Then we can actually go down there and look at it. And for the longest time, we only knew that it was there, but we couldn't actually access it using any runs.
Yeah.
But then I discovered...
Ruake discovered it was there.
Was it Ruake?
You're right.
Okay.
I think so,
okay.
yeah.
But then we didn't have any way to get down to it because it was so far down. We could actually like hit it with our bodies, but obviously the falling damage would trigger.
Because essentially it's underneath the entire ocean. So you're swimming and it feels like you're in water, and then once you go below the threshold of where the quote bottom of the ocean is, it'll just immediately put you into a fall. So you can't set up a roll jump because you're not on land. It just goes straight from water into open air. So you have to fall on this thing in order to get there. And for the longest time, it just resulted in lethal falling damage. Until...
Yeah, but then I discovered a way to extend the lethal falling distance with using air powers to, I guess, flap and do that. And then using some clever landing, we were able to land in a position where we could actually hit we just skipped the whole Balthazar fight. Basically, Balthazar will always change his armor to be immune to what you're using. So we want to change whatever we're using whenever he puts a new armor on. I do a little trick where I will finish a combo with him and then swap to something else and then swap back before he changes armor so that basically I can keep my momentum going without him changing armor. There's so many tricks coming up. I have nothing to, or I don't have enough time to say a full explanation. Right there, we jumped down into a slide and used air flapping to help negate some of our momentum so that we would not receive lethal falling damage. Went into the water distributor, collector, I don't know what to call it, and then grabbed the life disc and
Oh,
came back
you
out.
madman!
Oh yeah, no. So lethal falling
Oh.
damage depends on where you started your jump, and I started my jump with this air fan here. So I technically landed at an equal height, and
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's
oh, is that
sick.
new to you?
I didn't realize that you could go straight from that end of that skip directly off that fan into that. That's amazing.
Also, there's a little
Love
bit
it.
faster of a way where you can jump on a
Split, by the
different
way.
air fan and get onto this bridge, but I was looking at my air power and realizing it was so low I wasn't sure I could do it, so I took the long way around. Yeah, so we just got the life disc fragment and the water power 3 in very quick succession, and we're out of this level in like less than 3 minutes. It's extremely short.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that any one of these levels that we're going into, every level in this game, every standard level in this game that you go into, it has either an elemental power or a disc fragment, or usually both. Because there's 20 fragments and there's 12 powers, so like some of them will have one or the other. But usually the standard time when you're doing a level, like if you want to fully complete the level and like grab every gem and every obsidian and do the level exactly as the developers intended, I would say the average level takes like 20 minutes to do. Maybe 30 depending on the level. Like the fire level, fire realm levels are going to be a little bit longer.
All right,
so anytime...
We got a trick here that's a little hard to explain.
Yes, go ahead.
So we want to get over to these islands so that we can get to the air power 3 as quickly as possible. So we jump up on top of these moving monoliths, and then I do a 3-roll jump and land specifically there, canceling some of my momentum with that little flip around. If you don't do that, you'll receive lethal falling damage by hitting it. It's really hard. It took me so long to do.
No, I know. This is one of the hardest tricks to learn.
I'd say it's the hardest trick to learn. But
or
you
the
used to have to do
skip.
it 3 times. I think 3 song skip's easier.
Fair enough.
But personal preference. So yeah, before we would have to do it 3 times, but then I was able to discover a way to skip the next 2. Also a little thing there where I stop my upward momentum so that I don't have to spend 5 seconds flailing in the air. But doing this trick that's coming up, I found a way to access the air power 3 without turning the other 2 on, thus activating this giant fan in here, which will give upward lift so you can kind of fly to it. But if you use the slippery surface over here, you can actually get up on top of these ring surfaces. And from here, if we do a roll jump from this side of the precipice, then we can do a 2 air jump and access it. And it skips quite a bit of time relative to some of the previous world records.
And he also, when he got the air power 3, he was able to cancel his momentum or cancel the slow falling momentum and slide down the side of that tube to then land on that ice block and have the elevator animation split, by the way. 2 of them, actually. But he was able to have the elevator cancel out the animation of getting the air power. So that was just literally perfect execution. I cannot stress enough just how difficult this level is, especially in speedrunning terms. So that was just gorgeous.
Oh, if you think that's weird, there's an even more swag way to do that. You can make it to where you're doing the gotta-powered animation while in the golden teleporter.
Oh, God.
It's a lot harder, though, and it risks death and quite a long reset. 5 seconds of time save.
Totally.
So right now, we're just trying to head back to town and then go back into the Earth realm. Before, we would just go walk towards the entrance of town. But I decided I think I want to go to the Water Guardians arena again. Because if you go there, it'll actually teleport you back to the top of the Tower of the Elements. Mm-hmm. So I think that this is just a little faster. It gets you a little further into town, and then you can use the tower fall on the Earth side of town and, well, just get where you're going a little quicker.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, we tested this once where we both started at the top of that platform, and then we, I went, used the teleporter, walked into town, and walked around, and you did the tower fall skate. I think it saved like 30 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, I think we tested it. Admittedly, a lot of this is off of feeling. We don't have hard, numbers written down anywhere,
Yep.
but
Yeah,
this one is
when
probably
we say
the
that,
hardest tower fall.
yeah, this one's really tricky. Ah,
Press
rip.
the A.
I forgot that I failed it once. It's interesting that little getting stuck in the wall thing there actually led to some discoveries because it showed us that if terrain is moving, it can push you through other terrain. And I don't remember if we used that at any point in the any percent run, but there are ways you can get out of bounds using it.
Mm-hmm.
Did I go for a safety save here? Also, I did something here. I do a 3 roll together because when you're chaining animations together like that, it still thinks you're on the ground, which means the water won't actually let you swim, so you can get a little further down.
Just because we'll get to the tower fall skip again, I want to point out that there's not one quote unquote correct way to do the tower fall skips. A lot of the sides, like whether you're going the earth side, the water side, or the fire side, there are multiple ledges that you can land on, and it's player preference. The way that Jet Fighter is about to do this earth tower skip is not the ledge that I shoot for when I do earth tower, so you can play around with it and see which one works for you.
Oh, I don't remember yours. Maybe I'll have to look at it and see if I can execute it easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually shoot like way further past this. And then I actually glide off of one of the roofs in the middle of the fall and then fly across this entire bridge with the momentum. So yeah, I think your fireside tower fall is faster, but my earthside tower fall is faster.
Very well. So right now we're just doing some cleanup as we head to the air realm. I need to go get this air disc 2 along the way, and just have everything for it. It's just a matter of collecting it as we go.
Man, it's so sad that you get Air Power 3 so late in the game, because once you get Air Power 3, the whole game just is way more fun to play. Having 5 jumps on this ability is just outrageously good.
What I will say, though, is the developers, I don't know if they always intended you to have 5 flaps, because there are quite a number of ways you can get out of bounds with Air Power 3. Got it. Actually lost a little time. That makes sense. We did have a death. You also notice that I roll jump off of that ledge. Just saves from having to climb down, slash having a little bit of a recovery animation when you take a little damage while falling. Cutting little corners here. And then this 4 roll jump into 5 flaps barely makes it to this edge of the terrain.
Mm-hmm. Very nicely done. And then, if you time it right, you can fly straight from here into an excavator, but the excavator was not friendly today.
Yeah, these are running for the entire time that you're in the film, so it's a little hard to catch in the cycle.
All right, so the tree song skip we talked about earlier this is where it's actually implemented in the run in a very profound way. This is the most important skip in the run, and in my opinion, one of the hardest. Even though Jet Fighter's consistent, way more consistent with it than I am. So basically, ordinarily in a run, you're supposed to unlock these elemental crystals that correspond to a musical note, and then play them in a sequence into the giant crystal that we walked in front of a moment ago to open the gate that gets you to the elevator we're about to get to. But that takes 7 minutes, roughly 7 minutes. I don't know the exact time of running around the Earth realm to get them. But if you stack a bunch of jumps on this set of vines here, you can just launch yourself into the air.
This
like that.
was a failure. Didn't get the right trajectory or the height, so have to reset.
But you take no falling damage.
Yep,
Which
it
is
still
really
has
weird.
considered you from jumping from where you started your jump, so... So yeah, lethal falling damage works depending on how far you've fallen and from where you started your jump. I think this is because certain elements of the game, like the geysers in the Fire Realm, they're supposed to shoot you up and then land you at a certain point, but if they didn't program it that way, then you receive lethal falling damage from the geysers. Alright, that was a good launch.
That was a great jump.
The most typical one that I've seen. Normally I'd want to cancel my upward momentum so that I don't spend so much time in the air, but I think I was playing it really safe here.
And now you have to aim for this particular spot in the branch so that you fall right in there. And that was just gorgeous.
Yeah,
Holy God.
That really was a great placement, and it's really hard because you can't see through the trees, obviously, so you have to like memorize leaf patterns relative to like the blue light that's shining out and the fire that's in one of the sections of the area, and yeah, it's really easy to get confused and just end up on the wrong side of it.
And now we come up on just a beautiful skip that Jet Fighter discovered.
Oh, yeah, this section used to take like 10 minutes.
Oh, this section was hell. This section was so ridiculous. And poor Silly Goose, in his world record run, the 235 that we mentioned earlier, he loses, like, I think he actually loses at least, like, 12 minutes on this section.
Oh, did I go for the safety save? Oh, I almost messed up the safety save. Oh, I forgot about this. I was so dumb I lost like 2 minutes because...
Yeah, this frickin' elevator.
Yeah.
You should always go for a safety save here. I don't think there's any reason not to.
I mean... It's a matter of even if you take the safety save, any time you die and come back, you still have to go through this loading animation of all of the elevators.
Yeah, but you don't have to do the tree song again.
I mean, I think... Yeah. No, I think that it's a matter of don't mess up, sadly. Or else maybe your run's dead, is kind of what it is.
I don't mind jumping onto that save platform to make sure that I never have to do the tree song skip ever again.
And I mean, I'm not even following my own advice. I decided to try to go for the safety save, and then I messed it up.
Yeah.
And it cost me about as much as reloading my last save. So yeah, if you die in this area and have to reload, then you have to go through that whole animation where it shows the elevator rising up the tree.
Which is, interestingly enough, this is the only level that it does that on, and I'm not sure why.
That's not the only level. Air Area 6, the Air Guardian Stronghold, also has a very short one.
Yes, that's true.
And
but
then
it's so long on this level.
There's also
no
the
reason.
excavator, not the excavator, the bucket elevator that takes you down into the deep caverns. That one also has an intro.
Oh, that's true.
Oh,
but like if you reload a save in Earth 7, it won't show the elevator, I don't think.
So it actually depends on if you saved on the save platform. If you saved on the save platform in the Air Guardian Stronghold and the deep caverns, it won't show the animation. Oh, but anyways, we're missing the skip here. So I discovered a new route where we can go down and kind of get out of bounds here. and then rather than using some certain keys that we have to get from the rest of the level to access some air tubes, we can just go to where the air tubes do their load trigger and get inside of them that way.
Beautiful. Gorgeous. 11 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that this... I'd say, since before I improved this section of the game to after I improved this section of the game, I think I saved like 8.5 minutes, which is about like 85% of this area.
Yeah. And this level, on a regular playthrough, it's got to take like 20 minutes. It has to. Like, it takes forever to get through this level.
I love
and that's if you're doing it like
building.
perfectly.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I love the world building and just the spectacle of this area, and really just all of this game.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a shame that we're skipping just all of it.
And conveniently enough, getting that air disc fragment, you split by the way. You come right back out to this same pipe, and you can do it again to get to the top of the air realm, which is not. Is this really faster than flying up the tube that Air 2 is on? That the air disc fragment's on?
Flying up the tube.
Like when you you get the air disc fragment that you just got, and then you flap up the side of the tube to get over to the platform. Is this really faster?
I'm not quite understanding what you're saying. Because I thought that you had to go up an elevator, like the previous route. I thought you had to go up a wind elevator and then climb the tube that you rode to kind of the top of the map. And yeah, no, that's definitely slower. Admittedly, I didn't do the execution on this super fast. In fact, I've actually gotten even faster at doing this section since I completed this run.
Nice.
Now I go straight for the entrance into the tree.
This level here, Air 6, is going to be... This is where the emulator will really shine in time saves, because you have to... It's really, really in your best interest to reload saves on this level, because you run out of air power so quickly from the keys that you have to get, and reloading a save and having it take no time at all will actually save you a considerable amount of time when you do this level.
Oh, I forgot. I believe I had to use the restroom when I went and did this run, so I lost some time here. Okay, it was only like 10 seconds. We're fine.
We're fine. We're fine.
Smaller than
this is why speedrunners wear diapers.
But yeah, we have to reload a save in this area 4 or 5 times depending on your preference. So having faster times with emulator probably saves maybe upwards of 30 seconds.
I'll address something very quickly that someone might be wondering from how we're describing these levels, and then I'll give you a fun little progress report. I just refer to this level as Air 6, and there are only 4 levels in the air realm in this game, so one might wonder why is it called Air 6. There's a cheat that you can do that makes you able to select a level or watch a movie or change your elemental powers. Basically just gives you a quick glimpse into the game directory, and the levels in this directory, this level is listed as Air 6. And the reason that it's listed as Air 6 and not Air 4, even though it's the 4th air realm level, is because when they originally developed the game, they had plans for more levels, and they had to scrap some of them. So there was supposed to be, I don't remember if there were supposed to be 6 or 7 levels in the air realm, but there were at least 6, and they had to scrap 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but there is concept art floating out there of the 2 remaining air levels that got nixed, as well as a earth level and a fire level.
Yeah, and fire level, there are 5 levels in the game, although they're listed as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Fire 5 was cut. There was also, at the time of development, a Fire 7, which was supposed to connect every other fire level together. And it wound up being so complicated that they had to scrap it. And I don't blame them.
I also feel like the Fire Guardian Stronghold is somewhat incomplete because there's definitely sections that are somewhat designed with like doors and
Yeah,
tram areas, but there's no way to get to them.
totally.
So yeah, this game, like a lot of games, had some time problems with release. So I go for a cheeky trick there where I skip, I think, 3 platforms, but I messed it up, and I think I messed it up a couple
Press
more
the A.
times. But
By the way, I wonder on an
Same.
emulator if it's faster if you know that you're going to die from lethal falling damage to reload the save immediately.
oh, it absolutely
Then wait.
is.
Yeah.
The second that you know you're going to die, it is faster to quit to main menu and reload your save rather than
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's faster to do that than even going through a dying animation.
Yeah. Unless it's a very quick dying animation.
I think
Sometimes you take
ones.
lethal falling damage and just instantly fall to your side, and that would be faster to go through than loading a save.
I've been trying to do a deathless / no reloads run, where I actually have to preserve my health and my elemental fuel throughout the
God.
entire run. But I think I might have to go do that one on hardware because of how often the game crashes.
Oh, totally.
Which I will say, it doesn't crash like super often. In this run, I got about 2 crashes, and I'd say that's about typical for 2.5 hours.
By the way, fun little side fact, that little black and purple gem there is called an obsidian. And when you're actually playing Azurik, you look for those things absolutely everywhere that you can. And when you're doing a speed run, you avoid them like the plague. Because it would unlock a tooltip that you'd have to skip, and there is a, oh god, gem animation there.
Oh, I forgot I died there.
Oh man. Rip.
Press the A.
There's a lot more time loss in this run than I remember.
Yeah. All right, kids, 150. That's your goal. You can do it.
No, getting this run down, like, sub 150 is possible, for sure.
Totally.
Doing a really well-executed run, you can do that. But beyond that, we're going to have to make new discoveries.
Yeah, 145 does not seem achievable with this route. I think there's going to be a couple more skips.
So I've got a question for you. What do you think is the bigger holy grail in terms of these 2 skips? And they're theoretical. Don't know if they're possible, but, here's hoping. Do you think it is a bigger achievement to do the Death Barrier skip, meaning that we don't have to collect all 20 disc fragments to beat the game? Or do you think it'd be a bigger skip to skip your power loss through the tutorial?
Oh, the Death Barrier skip for sure. If you can skip the Death Barrier, then you don't have to get any of the disc fragments.
But it does mean you still have to get Air Power 3. And it does mean you still have to get probably Air Power or Water Power 2 and 3 in order to get Air Power 3. So you're still completing most of the game.
I see what you mean. Unless we found a way to do the Death Fall, the Death Realm skips without Air Power 3. Like if there was any way to reach a ledge, the first ledge without Air Power 3.
Yeah, I don't think you can do the.
I don't think you can, but maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, those are 2 theoretical skips that could crack this game wide open.
Yeah. Speaking of theoretical skips, it is possible in this category to complete the game without Earth Power 3. It's not recommended. Theoretically, if you did it perfectly, you would save like 10 seconds of going over to get the power. It's not worth it. You should take it every time, but it is possible to do it because you don't have to melt a level 3 acid block to get to Balthazar in this category. And if you really lined up your ultimate attacks correctly, then you would be able to kill Balthazar ever so slightly faster without having to fly over and get it, but it's just faster to get it.
If you collect
Big
obsidian.
flip. Straight time loss.
Speaking of obsidians, that's why we avoid them like the plague. Although this might be the only any percent speed run ever recorded where someone got an obsidian and did the run.
No! Cursed.
Right. By the way, I am keeping track of how many saves have been reloaded, how many times you've moved between zones, how many lag spikes there's been, how many crashes there's been.
Yep.
So far, and I haven't been tracking them perfectly. I'm sure that I missed like one or two. Oh, that was weird. So far, there have been 40 transitions between zones, 20 saves that were reloaded. That's not counting the 4 power storage glitches. There have been 15 lag spikes of variable intensities split, and then there have been 2 lag crashes that have been about 4.5 minutes, and then the tower fall death, which was 1.5 minutes. I guess I could add the tree elevator for another minute.
Man, there's been a lot of lag in this area.
Yeah. Add that spike here.
But yeah, no, just the reloads alone, you said 44, and there's gonna be more.
Yeah, 40.
Conservative estimates of like 3 seconds difference, which I think that it maybe.
I think it's 3 seconds. Yeah.
You know, that's what?
Yeah.
2 minutes? More than 2 minutes?
Totally. I think the saves are like 7 seconds a pop.
Yeah, and these ones maybe 1.5 seconds if you get really good at them.
I just mean like, I think that they save 7 seconds overall.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if it's quite that much, but.
Yeah. Lag.
Another leg. So, the Air Guardian fight is different than all the other boss fights, because she's kind of just a regular enemy. She has she has a immunity. She has I don't think she has a vulnerability, but she just takes normal damage and from almost anything. So I believe that she has roughly, let's see, that'd be 150 health base. If we're using a power 3. Then we're looking at 8 damage per attack, or, well, multiplied by the type of attack. I've been going for certain attacks that is a 1 and then a 3 follow-up, which if you do that properly, I think it takes 6 cycles. I think this one wasn't super good. But I believe your run, which is the best fight I've seen all of it, you go for a 2 base power attack, and it takes you 10 hits.
Yeah.
So right now I'm trying to get to the bottom of the Temple of the Elements, so I'm not doing the other tower fall skips. I'm going for one that keeps me a fair bit closer to the center of the tower. You can just do a 5-roll jump and then get back to this, like, terrace kind of thing.
And this saves about
Congratulations.
maybe 10 seconds of going up and down, or going down elevators. And in the early days of speedrunning, trying this skip was completely unthinkable. Like, no one would risk potentially going back to having to fight the Air Guardian again for a 10-second save. But now it is so inculcated in the meta that it'd be pretty crazy to not do it.
Yeah, you can see that, like, there are minutes worth of saves, so even, like, second saves may not be considered worth it. But I think it's a matter of personal preference for me why I go for it, more so than a calculated time save.
Yeah. And, like, we could talk about, like, how nervous you feel about executing skips when you're, like, this far ahead and things like that, but a lot of the tower fall skips are actually not quite as complicated as they look, and with enough practice you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I wonder why you're using Lightning Shield here and not Smash Shield. Oh, for the bots, right.
Yeah, so the Lightning Shield, I believe that if it negates all well, no, it's not for all damage. I think if an enemy doesn't do enough damage, the Lightning Shield will strike back at them and actually damage them. I don't think bots it damages, but it will damage shards, which also exist in this area.
Yes, they do.
So I've been working on climbing the, I guess these walkways without activating them, because I've been practicing the cheat percent glitch. And I think from now on I'm probably going to try to do this next section without getting the key. So normally, we go over here and get a key, which you can see a little bit in the corner, and then use it to activate the next set of walkways. but you can actually just walk along the rim of the walkway. And, well, I say walk, it's actually not standable terrain, it's slippery terrain. So you have to be really careful about how you do it. But I've been getting better at it to where with a full air gauge, I'm getting more competent. And I think I might start implementing it into runs. I did do it in my save anywhere run, and got it on the first try. But little different when it'll only be
You know that
30
there's a
seconds
save
I
right
guess.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a lot of walking to have to do if you screw it up, but
Yeah. And I think the time save is only like 30 seconds. Also, I know the other speedrunners in the past don't add a separate split for the pilot light, but I wanted to because I'm always so bad at the pilot light minigame.
the pilot light minigame is very RNG and somewhat skill-based.
Actually,
It's a minigame that can absolutely kill a run.
I don't think there's any RNG at all, because I believe if you reload a save and then you enter the minigame, it's always at the same...
Yes, but since you're going through the level at a variable rate,
Yeah.
it's not going to start at the same position.
Yeah, that's the difference.
That's the RNG. Unless someone calculates exactly how long it takes for the cycle to completely reset with the pilot light and then shoots to do their life realm in that amount of time, and then starts the minigame at the exact right moment so that they've already mapped out the best way to do it, which would be pretty awesome if that lined up and worked.
That is more effort than I care to put into it, but
Of course.
that would be an advantage.
Yes. There's still barriers to break, people. Maybe the death barrier is more important, but, you know.
We've also theorized that it might be possible to get up onto the platform. So we just lowered the platform that's holding the disc.
Yeah.
So now we can access it, but I think it might be possible to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
Although if we do, I don't know if the button works.
Yeah.
The button being this little pedestal that we activate to start the pilot light minigame.
Use the left.
Do you know if it's possible to land on the filament cores?
Yeah, no it is. Everything in this area, in this level is stand-up terrain. So basically you have to light all of these lanterns with this glowing ball without touching the trails of these stabilizers. You'll notice there that I almost accidentally blundered into one. So what I do is I leave the minigame for a few seconds, which will keep your pilot light ball in place while the stabilizers still move. And then yeah, if you touch the trail of the stabilizers, it'll reset your progress.
It's also worth noting when you're doing this as a speed run, since we only needed one key to get up to this part of the platform, one of the stabilizer streams is yellow and the other one is purple. When you're actually doing this in a real playthrough, they should both be yellow. However, even the purple one, which is quote-unquote the good color, even that one will kill you, so don't think that you can...
Yeah, that last stabilizer stream really blue-balled me here.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about
Oh, rip.
that. Yeah. It can be a little difficult to tell which part of the stream is safe and which part of it isn't, because you can see that I'm traveling through some of the tail of the stream.
Yeah. There is a threshold for what part of it is safe and what part of it is not, but it's hard to see. And hard to know. Oh, that was a nice run. I also wonder if the stabilizer streams behave a little bit differently on the emulator.
I haven't noticed anything.
I doubt it, but...
I've noticed that they kind of pop in at different times, but I think that's because of the render distance in the emulator is different. Yeah, no, as I said, I'm usually pretty bad at this minigame.
But the life realm is so pretty. And presumably, the planet that you're looking at is Parathia,
So,
right?
yeah, the oracle at the bottom, which is the thing that kind of tells you the, I guess, lore and also objective of the area. It actually says that it absorbs and distributes light onto Parathia, which actually makes me wonder if Parathia doesn't have a sun, and if this is Parathia's sun, so to speak.
Huh.
It could also be, because you can actually see a sun in the background right there.
Yeah.
It could also be that Parathia is a tidally locked moon, and it is specifically tidally locked away from the sun.
Ain't nothing better to do in speedrunning commentary than talk about the potential astronomy in a 23-year-old obscure
Well,
video
when
game.
I mess up the thing 3 times, what else am I gonna do?
Well, yeah, totally.
I don't know about you, I love the lore of this game.
Oh no, the lore of this game is marvelous. It's great.
Having to play a real save, these stabilizers out to get me.
Oh my.
Forgot.
Okay,
How many
see,
times
like,
did I fail this?
So like that's what I'm asking about the emulator, because I thought that was a totally safe pass through, and right there you went through a stabilizer stream and it was fine. So I okay, never mind, it killed you. So I genuinely wonder if the emulator does this minigame slightly differently, because I feel like some of those tails have been significantly less forgiving.
I think that it renders them slightly differently, which is probably what it is.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that'll throw me off too, because it might contribute to why I've sucked so bad. So yeah, if I've almost run into a stabilizer stream, my go-to rule of thumb for them is I exit the minigame and wait 4 seconds. And that's almost always enough for the stabilizer stream to go away. But yeah, no, you can see that this run has a fair amount of mistakes, which is much more a testament to I've found quite a number of tricks to make the run shorter. In fact, I'm starting to wonder whether or not sub 2 hours is actually that significant of an achievement. We'll have to race for sub 130.
Yeah, there you go.
It might be possible.
130? That's a lot. That's a lot of time to lose. We have to find new strats. There's no way you could do sub 130 with this route.
If we can skip excavator, and then maybe
Like,
one other major trick.
Like, even if we did, oh my gosh, oh, this is just getting out of control. Even if we did, like,
How much time have I lost on this?
well, the 140, okay, so your first attempt where you had 1 filament core left to do, you hit the stabilizer stream that killed you at 147.15. I remember that. I made a note of it. So
I've lost
you
5
have lost
minutes.
you have lost 5 minutes on this minigame. So therefore, a sub 155 is absolutely 1,000% in the works.
Oh yeah.
A
No,
sub 150 is definitely achievable. A sub 145 is probably possible. I don't know about a 130.
I'll have to do more runs, get some better best of segments.
Totally. It might also be cool to do a segmented speedrun
Oh yeah.
where like everything is perfect the first try and you see what happens.
Maybe I'll do that someday.
Yeah.
Just take 6 hours and complete a segment 3 different times. See which
Yeah.
one is best.
Yeah.
Finally.
153. So that was about a 6-minute time loss.
Or actually, wait. Haven't grabbed the life disc quite yet. Yeah, no, I think you could probably complete this minigame in minute and a half if you're quite good at it.
If you're really good at it, yeah.
Actually, I should check Dendris's cheat percent run, because that's probably the definitive best
Yeah.
run we've seen.
Yeah. And he does a save before the run, obviously. So
Which means he gets no RNG.
the quote-unquote standard position.
Yeah.
Someone has, if anyone's done it, it's Dendris. He might have mapped out what is the best route to do with the stabilizer strings in a quote standard position run.
Was he not holding the life disc in that?
No, he wasn't. That was kind of funny.
Wait, does that... Wait, is that a glitch?
I don't know. Okay, so if you are a really, really risky hardcore gamer, you can technically do a waterfall skip, or a water tower fall skip, to go straight to the Death Realm. But he's taking the save because he just lost 6 minutes on the Life Realm and doesn't want to risk, if something goes wrong with the Death Realm, not having to do that again.
Yeah, no, I mess up the Death Realm segment enough to where it's probably better that I take a safety save. The sewers will lag normally, but it does lag a fair bit more on Emulator.
And it's because you're using fire armor.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if on Emulator it's better to like cancel out your fire armor if you know the route well enough.
I mean,
And if you can use like gems to walk your way through the sewer.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the gems give you landmarks.
Yeah,
Might
just
be
enough.
better.
Yeah. Alright. Now comes some of the best skips in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Ruake and Silly Goose discovered that you can skip this cutscene at the end of this bridge, which brings you to the lower parts of the Death Realm, by roll jumping off of this bridge, and then roll jumping your way down these extended spires of the Death Realm to get to the elevator that brings you up to the final boss. And we have learned, Jetfinder and I have discovered like better ways to do this roll jumping segment. If you watch really early runs of Silly Goose and Ruake, you'll see that they do a more inefficient route here, and they like almost run out of air, and it's really, really difficult for them to do. But we have discovered this drop right here, which gets you right to the door that you need, as opposed to rolling down 2 other spires on the other side.
Although I messed it up. If you do it really well, you can land right on the signal train there, so I had to go with the backup strat to help recover.
Which is what they did originally. Once they got to the spire here, you just have to kind of force it up here with air and get up here.
Yeah, I believe in the older runs, they would actually go around the central tower, this
Yes.
central elevator, the opposite way. They'd go right.
And then they discovered this death elevator skip, which they had just fallen on. And after I got done with my world record, I said, there's got to be a more reliable way to do this. And Jetfighter and I do it different ways, but I discovered the concept, which does apply, which is that you can use your air power when you fall out into this elevator shaft to stabilize yourself in the room, which means that you can more accurately land on the part of the elevator that you want to. So he's going to land right here.
So I go for the corner where you see the train is, I guess, as far away from the elevator as you can. So I hug that while holding forward. You don't hold forward, it won't work. I do the same thing.
Yeah, you have to be moving in towards the wall.
Yeah. And then
also,
I got a really good timing there to get right into this.
Yes. You'll notice that he's using his air power to cut his momentum from the elevator launch to stop at the point in the elevator shaft that he wants to, which in this case is the final room.
Yep. And then I believe your go-to is actually to land on the spines at the top of the...
Yes, the tendrils. Yeah.
Cool, but now we're into the final boss fight. This is Spideyzar, as we affectionately call him. The fight is very similar to his first fight. He will change his armor to be the same as the element that you're using, so you have to constantly change which element you're using. And other than that, you just gotta lay into him. He's got a ton of health. And as you can see, I'm doing the same technique that I did on the last one, where I'll swap back to an older element to try to stop him from changing his armor. It doesn't always work, though.
He has like indisputably far more health than anything else in the game. Nothing else comes close. I think he has 600 HP, and the closest next to him is like a Diluvian Stalker, which has like 96 or something like that. So he has 6.
Air Guardian might have more than that. But
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. And the Air Guardian might have, because I use a jump attack. It's probably like, I don't know, 400 HP, something like that? 200 HP? I don't remember.
But anyway, the basic mashing A attack tends to be the fastest DPS in the game. It goes 1, 1, 1, 5 for the damages of each attack. Oh, and I didn't realize that I got hits in one go. So what I did there was I activated the rainbow power, and it will do a fair bit of damage and do an area burst. But you can actually get
I believe it does
twice.
I believe it does 80 damage.
80?
And if you,
Okay.
yes, and if you, or the level 3 one does 80. And if you are standing at the right spot in this room and Balthazar is in the corner, what will happen is the damage will actually proc twice in a row. So that one actually did 160 damage, which is a quarter of his HP, and that was enough to kill him. And if that trick does not work in this fight, there is a multicolored globe in the room that you can use, which you absolutely should if that happens. But yeah.
I was surprised that I got it without using the multicolored globe. The grand majority of the time, you need it. So
yeah, that was a very, very smooth fight. A one-time elevator launch and a really smooth Balthazar fight. That was a gorgeous last segment.
That
there.
might actually be my best Death Realm segment.
Probably.
Anyways, I'm gonna pause this.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that's the run. What else have we to say?
Well, if I'm gonna do some very quick math here. I have counted 43 level transitions. If we assume they save 3 seconds a pop, that's 129 seconds, so that's 3 minutes saved by Emulator. There are 22 saves in this, so if we assume they save 7 seconds a pop, which may not be right, we're spitballing here, that's 140 seconds, so that's another 2.5 minutes saved, so that's 5.5 minutes saved. There's 4 power storage glitches, which are probably another like 7 seconds each, so that's another 30, that's 6 minutes total. But we have 4.5 minutes killed from Emulator crashes, and we have 20 lag spikes. Some of them were like a couple of frames where you could tell the game was lagging and nothing was really happening. And some of it had packet loss that was probably closer to like 30 seconds or so.
Those can be kind of insidious, though, because there was a few sections throughout the game where I was mid-air and I got a lag spike and it was eating my inputs. And those can cause critical failure.
A lot. Yeah. So overall, I would say the Emulator definitely does save time. It's not like considerable considering the crashes and the lag spikes, but it does save time, which should not diminish the actual achievement of getting under 2 hours. Like that's still extremely impressive, regardless of whether you did it on an emulator or not.
Well,
and
thank you.
It's an excellent run. Very nicely done.
Well, thank you. I'll be glad to see your rebuttal.
Yeah, well, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, any percent is the most active category we've got, but we have, what, 5 different categories? We have
5 different categories. There are 3 that are currently being run. There's any percent, there's cheat percent, and there's save anywhere. Those are the ones that are being run.
Any percent without, or no PSG, meaning no power storage glitch, which is very important for the start of runs. Yes. There's save anywhere, which is just any percent, but you can use the save anywhere cheat. Mm-hmm. There's obsidian percent, where it's any percent, but you have to collect all 100 obsidians and collect the rewards that they give you.
Yep.
Which I love as a little add-in there.
Yep.
There's cheat percent, where you complete the game by collecting all 20 disc fragments and beating Spidey Czar as fast as possible, and you're allowed to use cheats. And then there's 80% and 100%.
Yes. So those are all the categories. The only ones that have speedruns of them, I believe, are any percent save anywhere and cheat percent, right?
I have an Obsidian percent, and
Oh,
I
okay.
have a no PSG run.
Very nice. Very nice.
I believe I'm the only one in no
Yeah.
PSG, save anywhere,
Yeah.
and Obsidian percent.
I recall that Silly Goose did some routing for a 100% one run at one point. Um, I haven't touched a 100% run. I'd love to do it because
I've tried.
I like getting 100%. Um, and if I really wanted to invest the time into it, I probably would, but life's kind of busy right now.
Fair enough.
However,
Tell you what, though,
um,
if you complete one, I'll complete one.
I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would.
I loathe the premise of collecting everything, though.
Yeah.
Just a lot of time. I'm much more comfortable with doing 80%, where you collect everything except gems that don't have any functional purpose.
Right. Yeah, because once you get 300 of every gem, anything past that does not aid you in any way, shape, or form.
Other than, I guess, the satisfaction of having collected everything.
Indeed. Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Once
this was
again,
great.
congratulations on your run. And there is an Azurik speedrunning Discord if anybody that's watching this video wants
Yeah,
to join.
I'll link it in there. And then
Yep.
if you would like to play the game, we can help set people up on Emulator. It is not difficult to find a copy of the game. It is not difficult to set up the emulator. So,
Yep. All right. Thanks again. Take care.
yeah. Until next time.
Until
Bye.
next time. Bye bye.